Hey there, beloved Ascension pioneers. I'm back in nature. As you can see, we have a beautiful sunny day. And after this weekend, when I had so much of the retreat and integration period, which I will explain later on why it is so important in this time and always, I just was so compelled to do a video today. It isn't a video that I was talking about in my previous video, like a continuation. But lately, just, how it is in the moment. When you experience things, you're inspired to create something. And this is how I go about my journey. So I want to talk about the further expansion and the continuous expansion and self-mastery further on through some deep insights that, they were just popping out as I was running. And I took my camera and I was just so compelled to do this, to record this. The thing is that during each integration phase, we're given a new level of energy, of divine light that we can incorporate into our bodies, that we can withstand, that we can withhold. And I want to talk about something that truly means holding the light, being transparent for light, holding the frequency, walking the path of constant expansion towards instant enlightenment, and then that's it, period. Because what it is about enlightenment in actuality is we can reach that state, we can reach that attainment, but then it's about holding that light. There's a lot of enlightened beings in the multiverse, but their job is always to maintain that light, to withhold that level of frequency and to continue to expand, because the journey never ends. So we don't just get enlightened and that's it, and then we just rest something like this, like out in outer space. So I want to talk about this road of self-mastery, of self-discovery, of feelings, of facing our feelings, of facing the shadow aspect as well. And I want to give you examples of my own journey, because just yesterday, during this integration phase, this video found me of this woman was talking about this and doing this emotional integration work and emotional healing, which is self-healing, and then being aware about it, being aware of the patterns and the beliefs. And it's something that I like to talk about myself, that some people would just die for their beliefs. And she was saying something about this constant ongoing work, which is so important. And this is why, guys, I don't just share out there. I need to have frequent moments of being within my own self and having my own experiences and integrating the new awareness, so then when I expand, I can share within that new expanded state. And this is a constant ongoing journey, because it can only be traveled with humility. Because although you might have a certain understanding and knowledge and spirit, you are a divine human being who needs to bring it into form. And we all have the same job, no matter what kind of level of awareness our soul has at the moment. We need to integrate that, which is the highest aspect and the highest potential for us here in the now, and bring it into our body vessel. So we cannot do that by denying, by neglecting, by suppressing the shadow. And I want to talk about how opportunities for expansion present themselves, and how only self-mastery is the road to true attainment and true ascension. Because we can't actually take the ascension journey lightly, like, it's just going to happen, and we just stay in that same old, without even being aware about it. Like the woman said in the video, only 20% of us is, 5% is conscious. And then the rest is unconscious, and then we mostly act from that. So mental spirituality, as you know, has never been my way. That is why I share everything. That is why I don't write books. There's already enough people writing books, but I don't write books because I live in the moment. I show the way through my own experiential spirituality and the road of awareness and understanding things through deeper integration, which takes self-work. The woman explained yesterday that there's a lot of guides who come to this certain level of awareness and they call themselves ascension guides, mentors, healers, whatever they are, but then they stop doing their own self-work. It isn't like work, like it's a labor, but it's a divine assignment to keep perfecting the body vehicles that are given to us, because we're expanding creation. And at the same time, as creation expands, our souls also expand. The soul awareness is not a constant thing. The spirit, the I am presence, is how we were born, how we were all created, but the soul continues to expand within that, ovum of infinite spirit light. So we have water behind us, and today I want to focus on that aspect of water and being transparent and fluid for things that flow. And as always, like the woman said, don't just work with people who maybe they've attained a certain state, but they don't know how to give you the tools how they got there. And that is why I don't write books. I do write, I do write. I love writing articles and blogs because this is how I share. Writing is a huge part of my gift, how I utilize things and my knowledge to words. And video is just one aspect of it, but I really feel it's important that she said this and stressed this, that when you're working with an assistance of someone, not everybody will always be in a state that, it's not a necessity. She says it's necessary. I don't believe that. I believe if it depends, everything depends of our own sacred journey. So it's not like it's a generalized thing, you will need a healer, you won't. It's not like that. You will be guided to whatever you need at the moment of your journey. But I feel really what she said, if it's somebody who knows how they got there, they will have an awareness of how they got there, not just like this unconscious thing, and they live a certain life, but they don't know how to give you the same tools and don't know how to work with that. So what I believe is, I would verbalize this differently. I would say that somebody who's working in constant awareness and self-expansion within themselves will also be aware of others, because it's all a reflection of the micro and macrocosm. So the thing here is, when I go into my personal retreats and when I have my own integration phases, I don't just go and rest. I don't just go with my feet up the ground. I usually, these moments are for my own self-expansion. And then there's a moment when I really get uplifted from it, and with this upliftment brings me a huge wave of gifts that I can share, either verbalizing it or writing about it or talking to you personally, exchanging this. But it needs to come through my own self-attainment. So why I know that self-mastery is so important, because there's one fact that we need to know here. And if you want to know more, I've been writing more in detail about this in my latest article, which is about constant opportunities for constant expansion. This is the road that the Ascension journey requires. It is not a hardship or a hard labor, but it is a journey not to be taken lightly, like foolish. I don't mean lightly like everything is light. I mean like foolish. Don't be foolish and think things were just going to be coming to you through wishful thinking. You got to really do the conscious self-work. And it will require this so you can attain wisdom. And through wisdom, you keep perfecting the body vehicles that you have. And as the body vehicles keep perfecting, the creation expands itself. So you will see me talking now further about this. But what is so important here is that during each level of new energy, we get new opportunities to either walk in the old, to keep choosing and repeating and all of that, or to choose a new. So the new is something that was previously unattained by you, but your soul craves for it. It wants expansion. It wants the pleasure of not reacting in the old, but it wants to recreate something in the surroundings and the experience of the new. So because I don't write books and I don't mentalize and about these concepts and mental spirituality, there's enough of it already. But what I like to do, not a lot of people will be willing and brave enough to share their own personal journeys, because they want to portray this image of themselves as this perfected being. I'm ascended, I am this way. It's like what Spirit shows me is none of us on this planet right now hold the level of pure Christ consciousness. We're kind of Christ in practice. And no matter how many levels you might have really evolved and pure, there might be levels of you that still trigger you. And those triggers are actually blessings that show you, look, something is there. Are you willing to see? And when I'm talking to people, either it's people writing to me or people I know personally as friends and companions on my journey, I really often observe this denial, this self, because they have this feeling that if they need to be perfect, and within perfection comes control. And I so know and understand this really with my heart, and I have deep compassion for it, because I have walked the same journey. Ever since a little girl, I used to be such a perfectionist, and because I understand a level of creation which is utterly divine. And when I came into this form, it wasn't like this. But my mastery gained lies in understanding that even this level of awareness is in its own perfection, in its own way. And when we reach that level of awareness, when we reach that level of acceptance, but seeing the shadow aspect, but not judging it, just seeing it as completely neutral, then we keep not just being enlightened, period, but we keep holding the state of enlightenment. We embody a state of enlightenment. We hold the light. So instead of writing books about it and, saying numerous amounts of words, I'll rather give you a few of my own examples on this journey, because that's what I feel can help you see that nobody's perfect in our humanness. That's the whole point of it. But it's the human vehicle that gets to, present us with another opportunity of expansion. We might have expanded in some way and form, and everybody likes to talk about this starseed awareness and how they're from another, race of beings and level of awareness or dimension of existence. But at the same time, they don't want to take the responsibility for what they have chosen here, which is resistance. So this is what I talk about today, mostly the resistance, which is control. The most sneaky part of resistance shows as this subtle hidden control, which is always the same thing. It's resistance. It's resistance to what is. So it's more in detail in my article. You can go check that out on my webpage, and it's shared on my Facebook page as well. I was writing it today, just before I head out for my run. It's just so inspired, because whenever I have my own experience, I don't just say, okay, whatever happened, let it go. Because we don't really understand that letting go isn't just letting go of people and places, and it's letting go, but with addition of awareness. We let go with the awareness of what that thing brought us. Because if we just let it go, like, this is a pesky little branch, I let it go, yuck, We don't have the awareness why it landed maybe on our head at this time. What was the message that it gave me? Maybe something scratched me on my head for a reason. It was a message from the divine about something that I was maybe thinking about in that instance, in that second. I like to go deep in my videos, because I don't like to stay on the surface, because the surface it won't make us grow. It won't make us expand as an individual and as a race of beings. And the emotional maturity, a lot of the emotions and why humans were created this way in the first place came from the Pleiades starseed origin, but they've mastered this. So they put this in the human template, but we, in our own self-right, need to master this process as it is now, because there was a lot of beings, star beings, who were interfering with our process, and there's still beings who are, some more maybe of the positive agenda, and maybe others more of the negative agenda, looking at it from the lower perspective. But whatever it is, it was still an agenda, period. So today I want to talk about when you're in a truly enlightened state, you're agenda-free. So a lot of the beings on this wheel of reincarnation and of constant expansion, they were learning from it. They saw that they cannot control. They created this human aspect, but they couldn't control how it will evolve and expand. You create... I don't know, if you're a biologist, you have like a plate of bacteria, and you put there, and you just put it there. You will see how a culture will grow, but you just put them there. But you can't control how they will expand, what they will do, how they will come into their own beingness. So this is the thing I want to talk about today, is how many times we still notice ourselves, and no excuses, I'm from this level of being, that's how it's supposed to be, that it's perfect, period. It's still resistance to what is in the now moment. A lot of people are resisting what is happening in the earth right now, and without proper understanding and awareness about it, and that it's all for the betterment. Because in the grander scheme of things, in the big scheme of things, it's always about the soul evolution and expansion, period. So through that creation, which keeps perfecting itself in the form, although spirit is already perfect as it is, all is. Even that becoming is perfect as it is, without judgment, without controlling it. So in that state, we really understand. We really get to feel, but it needs to come as an inner truth that, like I say, nobody can give it to you. But we are the tiny representatives of the grander scheme of things, the micro within the macro. So we need to perfect our own level of awareness that we get into self-mastery, instead of trying to control other things. Okay. I'll get to the example part right now, but before I want to share that, why the tools of emotions are so big and so important, because a lot of this a lot of perfecting ourselves as into self-mastery comes through our emotional state, and then moving away from that emotional state and the core wounds, which a lot of people also conceptualize about, but I want to literally show you examples of it, and how we transform reactions into aware responses, and how the universe will keep giving us things that are maybe repetitive, or certain situations that they're not like, oh my gosh, why is it always happening this way? And we will finally be able to see them as, whoa, oh my gosh, the moment it will be happening, not like afterwards, or maybe some people get it maybe years after. And seeing it right as it's happening is a divine opportunity for expansion, for your own self-mastery. Imagine yourself, you're always in the center of things, you're always the center of your own universe, how you will be universe, how you will respond to everything and create your environment. But it's not creation if you control it. So the thing is, why this is so important is because a lot of people forget that Ascension is all about self-mastery. There is no other way. It doesn't happen like through an event. It's not being abducted or uplifted with a certain alien group or whatever it is. It's not Ascension. It might be rapture, but it's not Ascension. So true Ascension is becoming the masters of self and attaining the level of awareness, becoming one with all of creation, with universal expansion. So the moment there's resistance to what is, we're not being aligned. We're not being fully aligned with what is, which is our higher aspect of creation as well, which is our higher self. So when we begin to embody our inner Christ, we will be more and more just magnetically drawn to that. The only thing we want to live for is that expansion. Our soul is not bound anymore to physical things, to being in a certain way in relationship, whatever it is. The only thing we will really desire is to expand and become this being of light that we truly are. So this is how we notice that we're truly ascending, that we're really in that state. We won't be intellectualizing about it, but we want to have a little intimate experience with it. I want to give you an example. Like I said, with every huge wave of new energy, which for me, I was integrating it for the past couple of days, and it was really intense because for more than 3 days, I had literally, and I'm not kidding, orgasmic pulses in my lower chakras, and everything was expanding upwards and then downwards again. It was really intense, and I just knew I had to just pause everything and just integrate that, just allow my body to be in that state without me trying to control it or defy it in some way and say, no, but I need to do this. This is resistance to what is, because I've noticed this in my own self in a lot of examples. So letting go, first of all, one example of letting go. Polona says, this weekend my body feels I need to integrate, so I'll turn off the computer completely and just let it go. And just by me turning off the computer doesn't mean I've really let it go. I might be walking here in nature and I constantly have thoughts, oh my gosh, I could post this, I could do that. Maybe I got an email, things like that. This is one example. This is not letting go. The only letting go is when it happens through the inner shift. And we actually have a different experience. So we transcend and we really move into the energy of it. So we don't just cut away, just shut down a person in your life or shut down the computer or anything. It needs to be an awareness from within, and you need to feel it. Every letting go needs to happen on the feeling stage of awareness, not just thinking stage of awareness. Thoughts first give the intent, but then it needs to move on to it goes deeper and deeper and it moves into feeling. So this is not really letting go. And I might observe, this and say, wow, wait a minute, am I really resisting something here? Because I've made a decision, and being aware is making a choice and then following up with that choice. So if I keep thinking about something that I could be somewhere else, but I already made a decision that I'll be maybe walking in nature or just having a total day off, then I'm not really being consistent with that intent. So self-mastery is making a choice and then be focused onto that choice without thinking, maybe I should be somewhere else. Sometimes I have these thoughts that, oh my gosh, I look at the mountains, they're so beautiful. And I have this impulse in me when, I'm resisting where I am now. And a part of me, which is just a tiny part, and whatever kind of part it is, it still needs to be in the more light. I still need to keep bringing that aspect of me into more light. You see, it's a constant process. Don't put anyone on a pedestal. People like to do that. Say, oh, this is Polona, so she should always behave this way because she's there. Don't put anyone on that pedestal, because it's not fair to other people and it's not fair to you, because this is linear, defining somebody or something. So we are where we are, and there's parts of us that we're still seeking greater expansion, greater light. So when I notice in this myself, I'm sitting here observing mountains from across the view, and I'm thinking, wow, I should be there instead. What is this? It's resistance to the experience that I've chosen for myself. I didn't have a choice where for example, I stayed up late all night until 3 o'clock in the morning, which sometimes I do, I admit it. And of course I can't get up the next day and move and go early to the mountains. You can't go really far right now because there's avalanche season and all of that. And these are very pointy, peaky mountains, which are not very appropriate for the wintertime. But you know what I mean. If I choose a certain destination that's, that I'm capable of overcoming in this, and I want to go to the mountains, and if I made the choice, I need to follow up with it. If I made another choice, then I need to follow up with that choice instead of wishing what was. You see, that's one example. I'm going to give you another example now. Another example, this was all coming to me this weekend, was yesterday evening something happened between me and my mother because she did something that she kept doing for maybe years and years and never really shifted that thing. And she always makes up physically destroying something. It doesn't really matter because I won't give you an actual example because it's really trivial. You see, it's not about what's happening at the surface, it's about the awareness that we gain from it. I'll try to describe it as in a most appropriate way so that most awareness can come through. But here's the thing. It's not just that she was reacting in the old way and she wasn't present and she wasn't thinking and she wasn't using her rational side of it, because we also need to use our brain, our logic. God gave us brains too, not just the heart. And when I talk about being in the heart, I mean the heart that is the middle space between the higher and the lower, and it connects all. And you literally exist in all. Being, living in the heart doesn't mean I'm only going to listen with my heart, and sometimes this leads to naivety and lack of discernment. I mean the heart that is the cosmic heart. It's all of you. Not just the lower, not just the upper, but all of you. The real grounded cosmic heart. At the same time, it's cosmic, it's all, but it's also focused, present, and grounded. So, but it wasn't just her. Let's go back to the example. Because she did something. But also when she did that, and when I saw the literal physical proof of what's happened, and I couldn't believe it at that instant, I was just so triggered. It really triggered me because I couldn't believe that after so many years it's still there. And I know the pattern behind it, which is poverty consciousness, and it's a lack of really doing things as they should be done, but doing it just to maybe save money or things like that, which are really low. We're really dense. And I know the pattern behind it, and I was so upset. And we had a talk, and then today in the morning, it still was obvious that it wasn't still fully transparent and neutralized, and not just within her, but within me as well. Because she really didn't see what I was trying to say when we had the conversation, because she still did something that, she took the responsibility for the action itself, which is what we need to do without judgment and blame, just seeing it neutrally, because that's when we can stop the flow of being repetitive and haunting us. We need to move into the new. But she didn't take the full responsibility for the consequences of that act, which she did. So I said to her, it's just half thing. You're not really moving deeply into all of it. And she saw that. But what I saw inside of me was that I, still, a part of me, not the part of me that was just sharing this with her, but a part of me was resisting to where the situation is now, because I said to myself, why is it always like this, repetitive, after so many years? When you feel like that, it's resistance. But then the aware part of me said, so what? Where it is right now is where it is, period. That's the divine nature of it right now. You can't control another one's growth. You can't control their actions, even if, she ended up ruining my things, my personal things. And it wasn't the attachment to those personal things, but it was why is that pattern so repetitive? It's just, I was just so, at one moment I could really feel that madness, that anger. And I'll talk about this in the second part of the video, the emotions and, being fluid in our emotions. But I want to conclude that it was just this thing of seeing that a part of me, not the whole I. We need to see the difference between the whole, which is maybe overly aware, but there's a tiny part that maybe still resisting to that expansion. So there was a part of me that still resisted that expansion, right? And it didn't like how things were right now. It didn't like my things to be ruined. although it wasn't attached to them, but it just didn't like them. So I really, when I moved into a space of meditation and quieting myself and pondering about it and then writing about it, a lot of awareness came through. And whenever there's something within another, you know, we don't have the same lesson. I don't have the same lessons that she does, but my lesson is something else. So she's showing me a mirage image of something that I need to master, and I'm showing him something that she needs to master. But the whole thing is, it's not enough if it just stays here. Like, I know this needs to shift. It's not enough. It's the desire in our pure hearts. It's the desire that makes the shift. You know, oh, I need to shift this. I know. It's constantly, again, it's resistant to what is. But we might accept. I accept my action and my deed. I expect the emotions that flew through me at that time. I accept the divine triggers, and I accept also the consequences of that. But even though I accepted all of this, what do I feel inside? Do I feel the drive to still shift? Do you want to create another set of experiences, or you just want to stay here? That's the thing that I want to talk about now. So during all of that, like I said, we often don't notice ourselves how much control we have still of control is the subtlest form of resistance to what is. And no matter how much aware I might be, sometimes my biggest mastery will be about just seeing things, and it's just not for me, it's for everybody on this path. It's seeing things as neutralized as they are, as understanding that even that, maybe it repeated for, 100 times with somebody, but maybe that's how many times they need. We just can't, maybe somebody's very fast evolving soul, really wants just to get everything so fast, and maybe somebody's choosing the slower pace. And when we're really in that Christ awareness, which, like I said, don't be too hard on yourself and others and put them on a pedestal and expect them to act a certain way and say, oh, you're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be a guide for others, so you're not supposed to have weak spots. That's just nonsense. We all came in this human vehicle, and we need to be compassionate about this form of creation. It's very delicate. It's so delicate. But at the same time, as a spirit being, we're so powerful, so that power and the gentleness and vulnerability works together, that it creates something amazing. And this is why I'm sharing all these things, because I know about the potential and the amazement. But we're not just supposed to love potential. We need to love also what is, because a lot of people, what's also important here is they go into partnerships, and I used to be one of those people when I was younger too. You go into partnerships with loving the people's potential, but they keep disappointing you on some level, and you don't really like the experience of it because they can't fully mirror you and they can't match you vibrationally, or but you keep loving their potential, but you don't love what is. But when you love what is, you see a clear neutral vision of it, and then you still have a choice to make. Do I still stay with it? Do I stick with it? But if I stick with it, I need to like it. But if I don't like it anymore, even after I've accepted it fully and embraced it, it's seen for what it is. Like my mother, she needed to see the result of what she created, not just, because she wanted to hide it and push it like aside. Oh, maybe I can make it like this, or maybe I can use it. It's like, all it was totally ruined. It's like, why are you trying to do this? Don't escape from what happened. It's ruined, period. Don't throw sand in your eyes. See it for what it is, and then embrace it with compassion, and then move on. Or keep recreating the old. It's how spirit works. It keeps giving us these triggers, the opportunities for expansion. And with each new wave, it gets deeper. That's why a lot of people are experiencing turmoil right now, because they're just like, oh, it's constant, it's so intense, because they're just not willing to really let it go. And you really let it go with this, what I've said, without any resistance. Letting go is letting go of all resistance to what is. That's what letting go truly means. Not just like I have this friend and I let it go and I never see him again, but it's letting go to the resistance of maybe what they've chosen for their journey, or how they're learning their lessons, or not controlling it, because of a lot of people calling themselves light workers really want to constantly help others by controlling them. But they would be so much better if they would just be like me. You know what I mean? Don't do that, because it's just not really aware. It's not accepting things as they are, or you're wanting the partner to change without you seeing that the only thing you can really change is your reaction to it, your co-creation with it. So the main thing, you probably heard this saying before, is you cannot control anything or anyone. The only thing you are in governance of, so in control of, is how you respond to it. You can also react, of course. And that's what it is. That's how it is. And the second part of this, what I want to mention here, why is it so important, is the emotions. Because I notice in the New Age communities a lot of this love and light, rainbow, all beautiful. But when I talk to people, a lot of them still have these heavy burdens and these wounds that they're not really willing to accept. That, you know, when we have that, we don't always maybe like how somebody tells us things or how they respond to us or whatever we say or do. But we just look at them. We just see them. We don't see us. You know, I have this companion who, after I've shared something with them and I said, you don't respect when I say this and that, it's what I choose, you still keep writing to me and saying, you're not respecting my choice. So this was a choice between me and my own spirit self, and they didn't fully listen and communicate. I said, don't you see you're not respecting the choice that I made? And this is what I said, this is what I communicated, and instead they said, I assumed this, you know, so I you know, there's nothing in assumptions, it's empty, it's illusion, assumption is empty. You can assume what somebody feels, only they know, and what they feel is right at that time. So when I said to the person, this is what I feel, and they replied to me, I'm sorry you feel that way, and but I still love you. This is so emotionally manipulative. You see, we keep doing that because we have this feeling, oh, you know, somebody said something bad to us and we have this guilt, and we say, okay, but I still love you. That is so manipulative, not just to the other person, but to ourselves too. We're not a fully neutral being when we do that. We're attached to others' responses and their choices and their decisions, and there's not, respect can only come through that purity. You know, when we respect somebody's growth and their decisions, how can we ever say, I'm sorry you feel that way? They feel that way, period. Can you say, can we replace that and say, oh, this is how you feel, okay. It might not be in resonance with my feeling. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not seeing my shadow, maybe I am, doesn't matter, but that's your part. You meditate on that, you ponder on you, but don't say, I'm sorry that person feels that way. You can't do that. You can't control how others feel. So the thing is that we won't be a fully enlightened race of beings, ascended race of beings, without mastering this, our emotional state, our core wounds, you know, our judgment and blame. And a lot of people don't want to move into their shadow aspects because they have a feeling it's bad. So they judge it. Because they judge it, they don't want to see it. So they keep throwing sand in their faces, in their eyes. And the thing is, a lot of us, when we, for example, we feel angry, or we feel some sort of energy, and we say, oh, this is not really enlightened to feel anger. Oh, so we push it aside. You know, we keep labeling it as bad, non-enlightened, this and that, but we didn't get these beautiful body vehicles for us to repress. We got them to explore through emotions and then transcend through emotions into this beautiful state of higher emotional states, of feeling, of neutralized feeling, and just sharing within that, and co-creating a new level, you know, of beingness through that, a new level of creation in form. So we really weren't given these vehicles to suppress, and that's why you have so many people drinking and smoking or being, you know, abusive to other people and themselves, because they've suppressed so much. It's too much to open it all at once, so they do it in layers, and we all kind of do it in layers. And there's a lot of people who say, I'm master soul, you know, I do this, and they have this very overall good belief about themselves. But if you do that, if you put yourself in a box and you say, you know, if I would say to myself, I'm an Ascension guide, I'm a person who always behaves well, I'm this and that, I keep creating this limit for myself, and I'm not allowing to be fully transparent for all emotions to flow through me without me controlling it. And then when it will really be fully transparent, it will happen just because I let it flow. Because if I don't let it flow, it won't. And don't call yourself enlightened. Enlightenment is not turning away from the shadow, it's seeing the shadow and then reflecting on it and really neutralizing it through pure awareness. So getting to the core root of those triggers, the divine triggers are such beauty. And let me tell you something, it's not a linear thing. So when people say, I need to heal this, it's from this past life, it's from there and there. I already talked about this. I talked about source healing, which is, you know, healing in the oneness aspect, which is what healing is. It's when you get to the core pattern of the trigger, of, you know, when you really feel what it wasn't the event that triggered you, it's the energy It's the energy essence of that event that behind it that triggers us. So only when we're willing to move into that energy essence, we will see what really triggered us. And when we get to the core pattern of that trigger, we actually heal it on all timelines. You know, that person in the video was talking about timelines and moving into different timelines and healing in different timelines. But the thing is, when you get to the core, you know, of all those multidimensional aspects and part and soul fragments that you might have created along your journey, is you will not just heal one timeline. When you heal the core, you heal on all timelines, on all levels of being. It all exists in the now. You know, it's not, if I do this here, other versions of me are also receiving the same healing and awareness, because it's all connected. The consciousness is one. So this part of me is playing the humanist, and it's perfecting the humanist in order to be more divinely human, not to be a human robot. And what I'm noticing is a lot of humans are just becoming robots. Just chop, 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 chop. You know, the saying, what's the difference between somebody who, before they were a master and after they were a master? You know, they just chop the wood, bring water, and after they're a master, again, chop the wood, bring the water, but they do it this time with awareness. They do it fully conscious. And when you're noting something like, you know, my mother did an unconscious act. She had a voice in her head that said, maybe this isn't the right choice, but she didn't listen to it. And I also did an unconscious part, because for a moment I was like, you know, it triggered me. But then I moved back, I prayed for forgiveness and compassion and higher understanding, and I got to that level. And today I got even more understanding about this control and how it's all very deep. And it's also collective. A lot of these patterns and programs we have are collective. But just saying that, or oh, it's our DNA, it's my ancestry line, it's the collective, it doesn't make us really be self-masters. Okay, so if it's all collective and you don't have any power over the collective or your DNA or your wounds, who does? Well, this is another level of topic. When you don't claim your energy, somebody else will. So you are the ones who are so powerful. You can transform, you can transmute, you can transfigure and co-create anything. So we can have an awareness, okay, maybe the pattern is stemming from the collective, or the wound comes from this and that stayed. But who's the master here? Who's the one that gets to change things? Who's the one that gets to work with awareness to purify and to bring a new sense of light? You, me, everybody. So enough with this victim mode. You know, it doesn't really help us transcend. We need to see things. We need to see the triggers, because when you, like I said, not a trigger as an event. You always say, oh, this person always triggers me, so that person is bad for me. No, it's not true. That person has a certain energetic frequency that has an emotional membrane memory for you to react to something. When you finally get it, at the very bottom, the deepest of layers, kind of like the Scorpio energy, you know, getting to the bottom of things. And then really, really, really feeling into it. That's when the awareness will come. That's when you will start transforming, and your environment and the people around you will start transforming. So letting go, like I said, it doesn't just mean letting things go, but letting go with awareness. And no more defying things and resisting them, just being in the non-resistance flow. So this is so important for our journey, guys. I really wanted to talk about this today, and my hands are freezing because my gloves are there. And I still felt so compelled to do this, because when I talk to people, especially men have a lot of, because they were suppressing, you know, their divine, emotional, feminine side of themselves for so long. There's a helicopter there. Hope you can hear me. And they sometimes have this, sometimes they just have this bright energy, and, you know, it's like, you know, you won't do this to me, or you won't speak to me that way, or, you know, I'm not like this, come on, you know. Let's just be pure and innocent, and let's just be willing to see everything. Giving us a sign like, yeah, you know, this is how it is. So we need to be willing to see all aspects of us. And when somebody communicates something to you, listen. Don't jump to conclusion, assumption, and say, oh, you know, just, that's not true. Be willing to see. Might be, might be not, but just be willing, be open to see. The openness, complete openness is what the heart state of being is. Complete openness. Because if I wouldn't be able to see, I wouldn't see that there's still a part of me that wants this control. And if I didn't see it, I couldn't bring more light to it, you see? So don't call yourself, you know, I'm a master. I've already did everything. My work is done, you know? It's not true. The expansion is constant, and the moment you do this, your growth stops because you stop it. Because you believe in it. You believe that it's just stopped. And you forget this joy and upliftment and excitement that comes after every cycle that, you know, has more light, more new. One more thing, the difference between the routine and things being stagnant and static as opposed to having a life of simplicity. You know, even in the simple life, you know, I live a very simple life. And even in that simplicity, I grow and I expand and I learn so much. But what the routine is stagnation is, you always do things the same. Like I said, you can always chop wood, bring water, but you do it with awareness. So whatever you do, you feel you're always growing. You feel yourself bigger and bigger and more expanded. Your external events might not change, but you are changing. You are seeing things so much differently. And this is what I said to my mom, you know, a couple of days ago, that I might not go so much to these trips that I used to in the past. You know, now I live in the mountains. It's different. You know, before I was in the city and I used to drive there and there and there, so I could drive anywhere. Now I'm here, I'm already here. Why would I drive so many places? And now my level of mastery is looking at the same view every day. I see the same mountains, but seeing them in a new light, seeing in the new level of expansion. And this is so important. This is so important, guys. So, like I said, we need to cherish that aspect of us that is emotional and understand what these emotions are bringing us as a message. And then expand through it without, no, you know, because I knew a lot of people in my life who were just not willing to see. They don't want to work on themselves. They just want to stay where they are. Nothing's ever wrong with them. Well, it's just true. Nothing's ever wrong with you. But, you know, you need to be willing to see where your weaknesses are, where you're still not fully residing in your self-power. And only through self-empowerment, self-mastery can be attained. So I also want to give, to conclude, oh my gosh, the helicopter's coming back. But I want to wrap up with an example of the movie Star Wars. After a short intermission, there's going to be another one. You just got to love those spontaneous videos, don't you? I don't know, I love the old ones, where Luke Skywalker at the end of the movie, he's fighting with the Shadow and with the Emperor. And the Emperor, you know, because he has that madness and he wants to save his father. He believes there's still, you know, the Darth Vader, he believes there's still some light in him and he wants to save him, and he tries everything. He's not willing to submit himself to those lower emotional states, which Yoda was teaching him about, you know, self-mastery. You're in control of your feeling, no one else, right? But you got to feel it first, because most people who are like numbing down yourself doesn't mean you're in control of your feelings, really. It's just you've totally surpassed them. And he's just fighting that, and the Emperor's like, yes, you know, feel the anger. He's just like, you know, he's manipulating him so much. He wants to feel the anger, join the dark side. You know, he knows that by feeling all these dark emotions, he's just gonna totally switch to the dark side, and that's how he will get him. And he will possess his energy. He's gonna claim his energy through that darkness. And even if for the subtle moment he gives into that, at the end he doesn't. So you see, this is what I'm showing you. So you see, even Luke, who was mastering himself for years, and he was learning the Force, which is the universal flow of everything through love, cosmic love, even though he still had, everybody still can have that weak aspect. So you see, self-mastery is a process, so don't be hard on yourself. Don't say, oh, I should already be at this level, so I shouldn't act that way. Gosh, you know, why am I doing this? The more that you will judge it, the more it will keep repeating itself, because not judging anything is like the biggest lesson for us in this human experience. So what this, we've seen a lot of old movies about the great ones recently, you know, like Ten Commandments, Gandhi, like all the Star Wars movies, and Ben-Hur yesterday was amazing. And all these movies about these great ones, and even the great ones were fighting these inner demons and these inner challenges, and they were attaining the mastery. They didn't say, no, I'm perfect right now. They just knew that it will keep expanding and always expanding, and that's how they overcame anything, because they were willing to do it. They had the desire, the compelling feeling towards it. So it's not denying it, yes, I might feel anger at this moment, and I'm willing to feel it, but I won't give into it. You see, that's the difference. You might feel it at some level, but you don't give into it. It doesn't possess you. It doesn't hold you. You hold the power over it. You govern your feeling side of life and everything else, and you govern your thoughts, and that's how you gain more and more focus and self-mastery, and just that beautiful self-attainment of the true part that is you. And before the helicopter flies over for the third time, I'm just gonna wrap it up, guys. And I'll see you guys soon. I hope this was educational for all of us, of course. Just keeps on being this way. And I love you guys so much. That's why I share this with all of my heart, because I really believe in all of our collective expansion, which comes through the, like I said, taking action. It's not a wishful thinking. We are doing the work. We keep perfecting this part that we are now in creation. So learn to use our body vehicles for what they were meant to do, for what they were truly created for. And stand in our true self-source power. Okay, bye, guys. Love you.